My drug and alcohol addiction started at about age 15. My first arrest was at 18. It continued after numerous arrests. Tried moving out of Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania to get away from it, and the addictions followed me. Came back to Schuylkill County and still had the addictions. Lived without the arrests for about 10 years. And I got into a relationship, and the relationship went to a bottom for me. And I came to a part of my life where it just didn't matter anymore. It was only me in my life. And the drugs and alcohol, and it just tore me up. I finally had to do a 6 months bid in Schuylkill County Prison and a month in rehab.
My life in the underworld started when I was about 15 years old. Started smoking pot, drinking alcohol. All through high school I sold drugs. 18, I started using cocaine. My cocaine use just spiraled out of control. I started using crack cocaine. Age of 22, I made 2 sales to an undercover cop and a confidential informant. I was sentenced to 4 to 8 years. I did my 4 years, got out, things were wonderful. I was staying in Allentown, living in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I had a good job, good everything. Started dating a girl back here in Schuylkill County and decided to move back to Schuylkill County to be with her. That's when my drug use picked up again. I got introduced to the methamphetamine, and that's where I went with the relationship. The relationship was based on drugs. Everything was drug related. My use had me selling again. I started selling the drugs again. The more I sold, the more I did. The more I did, the more my relationship went downhill. Finally, thankfully, a family member was concerned about me, reported me to my parole officer, and I went to rehab for the first time. While in the rehab, I was kicked out, went to another rehab. I successfully completed that rehab and came home. I was clean for 2 months. And then after that 2 months, went right back to the methamphetamine. Went back to rehab, the same rehab again. Did it for 90 days. Came home, was introduced to bath salts, and within a week I was back in rehab. After that stint, came home again, and same thing. And this time the parole officer wasn't sending me to rehab, he sent me to prison, and I did 2 months.
Addiction has been very rampant throughout Schuylkill County, and we've seen the effects of it. And we've noticed that there are a lot of housing for women. There's different avenues that women can take that have addiction. And for men, there are none. We've noticed that in this area, there is a desperate need for transitional housing. A few years ago, my wife and I had a gentleman come through our crisis center in St. Clair, Pennsylvania, and told us that he had recently lost his mother, and it sent him into a downward spiral towards drugs and alcohol. His wife and daughter had recently left him as well, and then he lost his home. When he had come to us, he had said that he was at rock bottom. He was using drugs and shooting heroin, and that he needed help. Once we helped him get into detox and into a rehab, we kept in touch, and once he had gotten out and completed the rehab, he had called and said, Pastor Vin, he says, I'm ready to go. I'm walking with the Lord. I'm clean, and I'm ready to work, but I have no place to go. And there was no funding in the area to continue to put him in a hotel for $500 a week. And I told my wife, we've got to do something about this. There's nothing here for men, nothing at all, let alone a Christian man. And we prayed and prayed and prayed for over a year and a half. And after a year and a half, during that time, I had shared this with Pastor Doug Creswell from Faith Church. And he said to me, "Buddy, I'll see what I can do." And after about 3 or 4 months had passed, and I had thought that Pastor Doug had forgotten that, needless to say, he had not. We had received a phone call. It was a Tuesday morning, and he had called and said, "Is there any chance you could come meet with me? I have some good news. I think we found a house for your ministry. We've received our 501(c)(3). Right away, we got into the house. We had to do the finances and the taxes and so forth. And a little did I realize that the house needed a roof, it needed pipes, it needed carpets, it needed the works. It was totally unfurnished. So we got to it right away, praying in every day, asking God to help us find the needs to fill this house with what we needed. I receive at least 2 letters every single day from men that are incarcerated that know about our house and that are willing to come in. We're now looking into other housing. I have spoken recently with probation officers from state and county, and they're asking me, when are you going to open your next house? My wife, being an employee at Gaudenzia, we decided to seek some of their avenues that was working for them in operating this house. We wanted the men to first be in an environment that was accountable, where there were other men here that could support them and other men that would actually be able to understand them, that have come from where they've come from. We definitely want the men to know that they are someone in God's eyes, someone special and someone in this community that can get their lives back on track. So what we decided to do was offer them a place where they could find peace, a place where they could study the Word of God, a place where they could find themselves again, a place where they could start over. And my wife and I thought that this house would be a perfect place, a perfect start for them. So what we ask these men is to, 1, be willing to study the Word, 2, be willing to every single day go to an AA or NA meeting, and 3, get involved in their church. We also ask them to be willingly to find employment. We want them to be accountable themselves and to be able to get back in their families' lives and be a father, to be a husband, most importantly, be a role model. And as they follow Christ and study the Word of God, it will strengthen them not only in their walk, but give them some foundation to give back.
I knew Pastor Vin during my addiction, and he was someone I could turn to after I came home, and he was the first call I made. Since then, I've been attending church every day. I do my AA meetings, NA meetings, and Bible studies. I am now employable again. I have trust from people that I lost a lot of trust in. Got my family back. And the biggest thing is I have my freedom of the addictions that I once carried.
Brad used to be one of my old partners, crime, running, doing drugs. And he told me about this new thing here in Schuylkill County. It's Pastor Vinnie Murray. Brad has been clean for 5 months, and he told me to give this a chance. Now, I always read the Bible. Like, I was introduced to the Bible in one of the rehabs by one of my friends in there. And I listened, but I wasn't too keen, I wasn't too thrilled about it. But just knowing Brad and how enthusiastic he was about it, it got me interested in it. So with the help of Pastor Murray guiding me through the Bible, giving me a Bible in today's language to learn, I've been able to build old relationships, like friends that wouldn't talk to me. I got introduced to new people, people that cared about me for me, not for how much money was in my pocket, how much drugs I had, or what I was doing. I participate in NA and AA daily. I go to meetings at least once a day. I have a sponsor, so I have Pastor Vinnie Murray to help me on the spiritual side, but I have a sponsor to help me with the drug addiction side. I participate in the Hope Project, which is a church program that helps families of addicts, understand the addiction, understand what their kids are feeling, how how they're living, things of that nature. I also participate in clothing drives. Anything I can help people do is what I do, you know, if it helps people. Do Bible studies with Pastor Vinny Murray weekly. The transition house that I'm staying in, you know, it's helping me in ways that I wouldn't think it would help me. It's helping me stay clean and sober. You know, I'm employed now. I'm able to save money now. You know, I have peace and quiet now. I have a sense of peace.
As you can see with Brad and Frank, God has blessed us and continues to bless us. He continues to open doors, and we want to answer a call, but we need your help. We are in present need of a van to transport these men to job interviews, to career links, to a church, and to different meetings that come up. We need financial support to help us with the cost that we have with this house, as well as the new house that we are seeking to open. It is the only housing of its type here in Schuylkill County, and we are looking to continue this housing and to open another house, but we need the support. Please consider to partner with us. Thank you.